You just spent months building your AI product. Launch day comes. You're excited. A few weeks later, someone copies it, and they're charging half the price. That might sound familiar. AI makes copying easier than ever before, but that doesn't mean you're defenseless. I grew up in Germany right on the Rhine River. I spent my first 18 years surrounded by castles and fortresses, and I learned the importance of moats by seeing them firsthand. That lesson is just as vital when building products today. I'm not here to give you theory. I've spent the last several years delivering real-world AI solutions across multiple companies, not just writing about it, not making predictions from the sidelines. I've been in the weeds. I've seen what works and what doesn't. And the companies that survive, they build moats. You need layers of defense that make you impossible to replicate quickly. Today, I'm going to break it down 5 moats I've seen work in practice. Real companies, real results, real defensibility. So let's dive in. The first moat, distribution. This is about relationships and access that AI simply cannot replicate. It's eyeball to eyeball. Can't replicate that using AI because it takes humans. So I'm talking about strategic alliances that give you exclusive access to legacy systems, or partnerships that unlock proprietary data sources. Hardware integrations that took years to negotiate. Go-to-market relationships with enterprise players who open doors competitors can't even knock on. Maybe it's a strategic investment from an industry incumbent who now has skin in your game. Maybe it's being the approved vendor in a closed ecosystem. Here's what I've learned. These relationships take time, trust, and often being in the right room at the right moment. And AI can't build that overnight. When you have distribution moats, you control the channels. And that's power no algorithm can replicate. So that's moat number 1. All right, moat number 2. There's actually 2 parts to moat number 2, data and network effect. So forget public data sets, forget web scraping. I'm talking about private user data generated by individual journeys through your platform. Data that only exists because your product exists. Network effects happen when each new customer makes your product better for every other customer. Value grows faster than your user count. In software and AI, that means more users generate more data, benchmarks, and content, which sharpens recommendations and outcomes for everyone on the platform. A competitor can copy your features. They cannot quickly copy the network and the shared data flywheel behind it. Every user interaction creates unique behavioral patterns. Every workflow generates proprietary signals. Every decision, every correction, every preference, that's your data moat building in real time. The companies I've seen win with this just don't collect data. They design their products so users naturally generate irreplaceable information as part of getting value. It's a byproduct of use. And this data can't be bought. It can't be scraped. It can't be replicated by spinning up a competitor tomorrow. It takes thousands of users, millions of interactions, and months or years of real-world usage. That's a moat. So that's number 2. Let's get on to the third moat, becoming the system of record. What does that mean? It's when your product becomes the spine of an enterprise stack. Unplugging it isn't just a migration project, it's operational disruption. I've watched companies try to rip out deeply embedded products. It does not go well. You're not just switching software, you're breaking critical pipelines. You're retraining teams, you're losing historical context that lives nowhere else. The goal here is simple. Be where the truth lives. Be the source that feeds everything downstream. When your data flows into dashboards, reports, compliance systems, and third-party tools, you're transcended being an app. Your infrastructure. And infrastructure doesn't get swapped out on a whim. Switching cost is too high, the risk is too great, and that's exactly where you want to be. All right, moat number 4, workflow lock-in. What does that mean? This goes deeper than integration. This is about embedding so deeply into the daily habits that you create operational muscle memory. I'm talking about products that become part of how teams think, not just what they use. When your tool shapes the rhythm of somebody's workday, when they open it first thing in the morning, when they can't imagine doing their job without it, switching stops becoming inconvenient and becomes genuinely painful. You've built that lock-in. Users don't just prefer your product, they've built their entire workflow around it. Their efficiency depends on it. Their expertise is tied to it. The companies that nail this don't just solve a problem. They become the way people solve problems. And that mental model shifts. Your interface becomes their default thinking pattern. That's when you know you've got them. Okay, moat number 5, integration ecosystem. When thousands of other apps connect to you as their source of truth, you're no longer just an app. You become irreplaceable infrastructure. Think about it. If your product feeds data to CRMs, accounting systems, marketing platforms, or analytical tools, what happens when someone tries to replace you? Every integration breaks. Every downstream system needs reconfiguration. Every automation stops working. I've seen this firsthand. Companies that become the hub in a spoke and wheel ecosystem don't just have customers, they have dependencies, and dependencies are sticky. The more integrations you can support, the more painful you are to remove. Each connection is another reason to stay. Each workflow that spans your platform and 3 others is another lock on the door. Build the ecosystem. Become the platform other tools rely on. Make yourself the foundation. Here's the hard truth I've learned building multiple AI companies. If AI can replicate your core product in a few hours, you haven't built a product, you've built a feature. And features get commoditized. The fortresses I grew up around in Germany, they didn't survive because of thick walls alone. They survived because of location, alliances, control of trade routes, and moats that made attacking costly and slow. Your AI product needs the same thinking. Ideally, stack up multiple moats. Layer your defenses. Make yourself expensive to replace and impossible to replicate quickly. Don't just build some features, build a fortress and dig those moats.